Hey, welcome to another episode of Superhero Deep Dive. I am your host, Jason. I have a nice cup of coffee with me, so I may be sipping it during the podcast. Sorry, not sorry. And I have a fun episode planned for you. I got a request last week to do Scud, the Disposable Assassin. So I looked him up, got some resources, and man, was this character fun. So I love it. And next week, since it is going to be the podcast before Halloween, I will have a special Halloween hero one. So who's it going to be? I don't know. Shoot me a message if you have any requests, if you have any guesses to it, questions, comments, critiques, all that fun stuff. You can send me a message on Twitch at Super Deep Dive, on Instagram and Twitter at Super Deep Dive. Use the hashtag Superhero Deep Dive. And and if you subscribe and like and comment on the video on YouTube, you're more than welcome to do that as well. But let me get into my normal disclaimers, as I have to do every week. So the information pulled is pulled from different sources across the internet and may not be completely complete, but they do give a really good insight on the current superhero. The reason I do that is because there are some storylines that people may like more than others, but I just don't feel that they maybe contribute as much to the character, or if it's something relatively recent that has changed the character but not in a way that most fans would know, then I normally don't tend to include those in, because it can throw fans off when they're trying to get a background of who the character is. So I hope you understand. If you don't, I'm sorry, not sorry, but I love you anyway. So, yeah. Let's get into this. Scud, the Disposable Assassin. So in the future, it is possible to obtain robot assassins out of vending machines at the cost of 3 francs. After terminating their target, the robot self-destructs for easy cleanup. During his first mission, the Scud we follow sees his self-destruct warning in a mirror during an 18-page fight scene. Not wanting to die and programmed for self-preservation for the sake of winning fights, Scud wounds Jeff, who was his target, shooting off her arms and legs, then places her on life support at a nearby hospital, ensuring their mutual survival. This is awesome. The premise is amazing, because these assassins are scheduled to terminate themselves after their target dies. So if this assassin doesn't necessarily terminate, just seriously maims or injures, and then keeps them on life support, then they get to keep living their life. That's awesome. Okay, so the main plot of Scud, the Disposable Assassin, follows Scud's career as a freelance mercenary and assassin, working to pay off Jeff's medical bills. This was also a video game made for the comic as well. I think the video game came out for Sega Saturn. It may have been on other consoles. I didn't look too much into it. Now, that was like pretty much all the information on Scud the Disposable Assassin, as far as like the basic background information. But I was doing some research and I found some really good, like kind of fun facts about Scud the Disposable Assassin. Like the comic and game have plenty of crazy twists and turns that only the truly creative can appreciate. And I stand by that, because some of these are really crazy. Alright. Abnormal ammo. In the video game, Drywall uses a piranha gun. Literally a gun hooked to a tank of piranhas. The AI. The AI is a crapshoot. System was initially built for evil, but no one expected him to out-evil Satan himself and take over hell. That's pretty awesome. A fate worse than death. Okay, this is good. They have werewolves in this universe, and the werewolves have healing factors, as most werewolves do. This one has a hyper healing factor. So, a werewolf in issue 11 explodes in the vacuum of space. Then his natural healing factor reassembles himself. Then he explodes again and reassembles himself again. And so on until the end of time. That's wonderful. Always save the girl. Scud agrees to kill the world in order to bring Susudio back from the dead. This is not presented as the right choice, and Drywall calls him out on it. And Susudio and Drywall, they're all supporting characters. The anti-hero. Throughout the comic, Scud's pretty much looking out for himself and doesn't really do anything that won't directly benefit him in some way. For example, refusing to help the Mafia fight off the dinosaurs, even though he's right there until they pay him. He is an assassin after all, and assassinating people is an expensive business. Alright, this is best seen with Scud himself. In early issues, he's very tall, sharp, his body language is very rigid, and he has careful shading and details on it, and his head is thin and distinctly pill-shaped. By the end, he's gotten shorter, rounder, stouter, he bends easier, and has mastered facial expressions despite only having eyes to express. Also, his head is very much a rectangle and his eyes are bigger. And this is just talking about the evolving art style as they get more into the comic. Bait and switch. One of the horses which horse in their universe is kind of like S.H.I.E.L.D. So one of the horse's arcs issues follows a group of nerdy teens getting attacked by a deranged mass serial killer. It's only established early on that the beach where Scud and the teens are hanging out at is rumored to be haunted by the ghost of a lifeguard who died there. Okay, and the issue seems to be building up to the reveal that the murderer is in fact him. Nope. The ghost is actually a good guy and drags the serial killer into the ground where the issue promptly ends. Oh, and that serial killer? He's actually one of the horsemen of the apocalypse. For extra insanity. You know, just if you need a little touch. Okay. There's a bag of holding. Drywall, along with his brothers, Mess and System, all of them were commissioned by Satan himself to collect all material items in the world after the rapture begins. System decided to take it the extra mile and collect everything, starting with Satan. Beethoven was an alien spy. Benjamin Franklin was also an occultist crime boss. They called him Big Bad Voodoo Ben, which is just awesome. Bottomless magazines. The one line, "I haven't run out of bullets yet," implies that Scud's guns have a set ammo capacity. It's apparently just really, really high. This carries over into the video game where he never runs out of ammo or needs to reload. Caught up in the Rapture. The Rapture apparently took place right after the release of Ghostbusters 2. And due to Satan never showing up and God refusing to throw the first punch, it never ended. That's great. That is great. Alright. Cerebus Syndrome. Let's see here. It enters around issue 20th and then issue 20 and managed to undo itself by issue 24. That's all the information I had on that. Combat Tentacles. Susudio had these back in her stints as a cat burglar named Black Octopus. She later regains them after Scud revives her with Jeff's heart. Crapsack World. Face it, if you can buy assassins on the street from vending machines, you live in a craptastic world, or crapsack world. Alright. Cruel Twist Ending. The original run of the comic, Scud is teleported to heaven, where the Seraphim explain to him that Susudio and the numerous monstrosities Scud has killed over the adventure are actually the horsemen of the apocalypse. Since all of them are dead or out of commission, the Seraphim enlist Scud to end the world instead. They do this by brutally hacking apart Susudio and saying they'll bring her back if he goes through with it, which he agrees to. The end. However, this is inverted come the end of the new run, with the cast entering an Earn Your Happy ending. So, let's see here. Decoy protagonist. In issue 3 of Tales of the Vending Machine, starts out with the group of children reading a forbidden tome. Then it reveals that they are actually demons in hell, and the focus switches to an angel that they inadvertently stranded there, who murders the demons and orders a heartless 666 Scud to accompany them. Then, the angel gets gunned down, and the focus stays on the heartless 666 for the rest of the story. Wow. Let's see here. Double standard. Rape, female on male. Now this is in the context of a fictional comic book, not real life. I am not advocating anything like that. So Susudio gets no flack for tying Scud to a bed and having her way with him. And as much as a robot without genitals can have their ways being taken care of. Then again, a lot of crimes are committed in this world without consequences. So, yeah, you should take a drink. Okay, Eldritch Abomination. Just about every non-human could qualify due to how downright bizarre they look. But special mention goes to the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, whose ranks include the already mentioned Jeff, a Jason Voorhees-esque serial killer who may or may not be human, a giant worm with the head of a dog and multiple breasts, and something that has only been described as a city on fire as its main body. So Jeff is a special case in which her design is so utterly absurd that it has to be seen to be believed. She's an 8-foot tall humanoid with an electric plug for her head, mousetraps for hands, and a squid belted to her chest. Has hands for feet, and talks by shouting movie quotes out of her kneecaps, which have mouths on them. So this is like, I think some of these characters were designed with like a bad trip, you know? If you know what I'm saying. Let's see. Flowery Elizabethan English. After losing an arm in his battle with Scud's soul, Scud ends up having to borrow an arm that belonged to a werewolf, which causes his speech patterns to slip in and out at these times. God is good, but he sure is mean. The lore of the comic is that God wanted to end the world with the rapture, but Satan never showed since he was consumed by the system. On principle, God decided to never throw the first punch, so to speak, so the rapture has continued on indefinitely. His angels eventually usurped him and locked him away, and the minute he gets free, he goes on a brutal rampage against them, devouring them whole. However, God is not without virtue either. There are numerous hints he's orchestrating the events of the comic to create the best outcome for everyone, and upon hearing what his seraphim are doing to Scud by making him kill the earth, he cries a single tear. Woo! That's kind of brutal. I don't know. The writer is covering topics that most comic books don't touch. Okay. Let's see here. Greater Scope villain, System, and then later the Seraphim, as they were the ones responsible for a lot of the bad events in the series. Guns Akimbo, with 4 guns in one issue, 2 on each hand. Okay, how we got here. The video game's first few levels are framed as the computer AM2, telling Susudio Scud's origin story, allowing Susudio to function as an audience surrogate for those unfamiliar with the story. Let's see here. Hyperspace Arsenal, which is pretty much Drywall's entire gimmick. He pulls guns out of nowhere. I cannot self-terminate. The Scud Soul, not because it's not programmed to, because its armor is too durable for even its own weapons to pierce. So, it can't self-terminate. Idiot Ball. Oswald's cause of death is picking up a porn magazine in the middle of a gunfight and getting distracted. That's awesome. Mooks, played with in issues 21 and 22. Big Bad Voodoo Ben has purchased Scudco, the company that made Scud the Disposable Assassin. As a result, He has a near unending supply of Scuds, some the same model as our hero. The end result is a montage of Scud kicking the crap out of himself. Alright, we have quite a few more, but they're really good. Alright, mix and match critters. Jeff is part squid, part plug, part mousetrap, part something or another. She can also replace missing libs with anything she finds nearby. At her highest point, she was part squid, part plug, part horse, part piano, part crocodile, with a chain gun in its mouth, part clown puppet holding a buzzsaw, and part whatever the hell the rest of her is. So yeah. Ninja pirate zombie robots. Big Bad Voodoo Ben revives dinosaur bones at one point, creating zombie dinosaurs. Funnily enough, a bite from them will also turn you into a zombie dinosaur, as one person finds out. The comic loves doing this though. Not only do we get zombie dinosaurs, but werewolf astronauts, a cyborg mafia, and they keep making fun of Jeff, like whatever the hell Jeff is. Their werewolves are different. The werewolves in the Scud universe have a healing factor turned up to 11. So when one's head gets blown open, the brains literally fly back into his skull to heal him. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Paper Thin Disguise. Every employee at Superior Alien Military is an obvious alien wearing a human face mask, held on with a string and everything. Rage Against the Heavens. The Seraphim try to invoke this by killing Susudio in front of Scud, expecting that killing the only thing he really cares about would drive him into an omnicidal depression. A smaller interior example also took place when the Seraphim overthrew God and took over heaven. This was also rated M for manly. The Gritites, a cult that worships manliness and unnecessary explosions. They also had a Mr. Tough Guy competition, which is a yearly global contest in which contestants prove their toughness in events like jackhammer fencing and lava hockey. There's robosexuals. Susudio is apparently unable to be turned on by anything that isn't mechanical. Scud takes Susudio to task over this when he finds out that the cyborg mafia, Tony Tasty, used to date her, prompting her to respond, "He's half robot, we had half a relationship." Rogue drones. Scud was programmed to take down his target and self-destruct, but a glitch in his programming gave him the will to live. So he is the rogue drone. It's not so much a glitch in his programming as much as it is an awareness that he will self-destruct if his target dies. And he's not the only one either. Half of the hospital patients on life support were brought there by Scuds. So this is a common occurrence. Set right what once went wrong. Scud and Susudio argue whether the time-traveling horse, which sends them to a new location and disappears each time, functions based on either this or on a 12-hour time limit. After it sends them to Tony Tasty's wedding, where they spend much less than 12 hours and don't solve anyone's problems, they don't know what to say. That's great. When you have a mystery, but you made it up in your own head, and you're just like, yeah, I'm wrong this whole time. Okay, Scud's internalized gun holsters are pretty obvious shout out to RoboCop. The Sega Saturn video game has a computer called AM2, named for the developers of Virtua Fighter and Virtua Cop, among other Sega arcade titles. Scud's handguns are also redesigned to resemble the Stunner light gun design Sega sold for the Saturn and used for its arcade cabinets. Oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't realize that. And granted, I saw this earlier, but I have like 4 pages worth of facts, so I missed it. Okay, there were 2 spin-offs. El Cosa Nostroid, about the mafiosi Scud, meets in the beginning of the store, and Tales from the Vending Machine, charting the stories of various different Scud units. Suddenly Speaking. Scud managed to do this despite being a comic in that Drywall becomes capable of speaking English like everyone else during the last 4 issues, with the first time he does so being just before Oswald's death. Okay, couple more. The unintelligible. Drywall and his brethren speak a language that can only be understood by creatures without a soul, such as robots and lawyers. Interestingly, the Wingding language contains the same number of symbols as the sentence being translated, so with proper context clues, one can roughly translate much of their dialogue. Nice. 3 laws compliant, inverted. Scud's encounter with Joe Cool reveals his programming houses a warped version of the 3 laws of robotics, beginning with a Scud does not value life and will allow, through action or inaction, life to be harmed. Wow. So what do you guys think of this? There wasn't a whole lot of history because the story is pretty much self-explanatory, but I love how they added all these little niches and nuances in it. What do you guys think? Sorry, I had to take a sip. I love it. I think it gives it creativity, and it just seems like it'd be a really fun read. So, yeah. Let me know. Like I said, you can catch me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram under Super Deep Dive, and use the hashtag superherodeepdive. I also post memes up on Twitter and Instagram on a daily basis that are all superhero related. So I encourage you to follow me on that. Let's see, what else is there? You can also email me if you'd like at b4itall@yahoo.com. So b4itall@yahoo.com. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hi YouTube, please comment, like, subscribe, and share, do all that stuff. I am open to your feedback. I'm open to critiques, ideas for future episodes, anything like that. If you have any questions about the heroes that we talk about, I am all about it. So let's create a dialogue. I get requests every so often. So that's a lot of fun. I love having conversations with you guys. And if you are listening to this on Outworld Fleet Radio, happy either Tuesday or Thursday, because I am aired throughout the day on Tuesdays and Thursdays on Outward Fleet Radio. And if you're interested in listening for yourself, it's a great station. They have lots of randomness on there, lots of nerd-oriented stuff or geek-oriented stuff as far as like shows, music selections, things like that. And that is www.un-conventional.com/radio. Okay. Now that I have gotten every single plug out of the way, except for one, if you're listening to me wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, also be sure to hit up my friends Chris and Chris with the Friends with Benefits podcast on the Talk Nerdy to Me network. They are actually on Twitch live every Tuesday night, and their podcast airs on Wednesday. So check them out. It's Friends with Benefits on the Talk Nerdy to Me network. But now we're going to come up to my favorite part of the show, which is the power expansions. And this is where I take a hero that we're talking about, and I'll go into whether I think that, their powers could develop any further, if their story would be good in like a new comic book series or storyline, if they're good for animated shows, if they're good for maybe a new movie, and with the plot of the movie, who we would cast, or TV shows, things like that. So, this one, I don't know if you guys remember, but in the 90s, I think it was the late 90s, MTV had this show called Liquid Television. And what it was all these little animated shorts that people would send in, and they would get aired. So you had all these different writing styles, all these different art styles. I mean, it was amazing. I loved it because it just opened up to so many different things. I love this character, And I'm seeing an ongoing animated series for this. But what I think would be fun is that for each episode, it's either done by a different team, or each episode, if it's the same team, is done in a different style, different animation style, like Japanese anime, like the old 80s cartoons, like the edgier 90s style, stuff like that. Just whatever. And I know what you're thinking. Like, this would be way too expensive for different teams to come up with different episodes, but I still think it could work. I think each team could get a basic outline, like these are the characters. Don't have anything happen to character A, character B, or character C. Don't do anything like that. Something like that. So that way, if someone died or whatever, it wouldn't carry over into another episode and cause confusion. It doesn't even necessarily have to have an ongoing storyline, because they did make a mini series, or like a spin-off called Tales from the Vending Machine, where it was the stories of different Scuds. And since it's already been established that different Scuds have become self-aware, then this could definitely take off into different styles, and have different animators do it. Like, I really like this, and we could have half-hour long episodes. We could see random tropes like he had in the comics, with varying degrees of humor, random art styles, which will give each episode its own unique feel. And, with certain art styles, or with certain teams doing it, they can have their own consistent storyline that just shows up randomly, which would make viewer interaction insane, because they don't want to miss. Like, what if the episode I watched a month ago, what if they're having the second part to that? Or whatever. You can do it in order. But I think it'd be awesome, because right now there's so much going on in Hollywood, as far as talents threatening to strike, or complaining about opportunities, that if we open this up to various art styles, various teams doing it, then what we can do is give writers and artists different opportunities to shine, and have that further their career. And if you're looking at it from a budget standpoint, the idea of having an experimental show, which for all we know, can be aired on YouTube, and you can get money, you can get monetization from that, but having this done by different artists and different writers and stuff, from a business standpoint, can actually be very cost effective, because you're looking for people that are trying to get these opportunities and build a name for themselves, which means that their pay is probably not going to be as high as established teams. So, it could actually be very budget friendly if you think about it like that. And I'm not talking about shortchanging up and coming artists. I'm just talking about, without that experience, you can actually, it's kind of like an entry-level job type thing. They're not going to get paid as much as people that have a huge resume under their belt. It would be fun is for one episode, like maybe it was like 1 or 2 episodes towards the season finales or whatever. You can have the audience submit their own animated shorts for a show or two, and have just numerous ones. And like, how awesome would that be? Just think about the doors you could open for such a random and obscure character. This could actually be considered the creator's creation. It could just open so many doors. And I think it would be great, because in it, like, if you think about it, we can get some women-centric, like, written and animated shows. We can get some African American written and animated shows. where they can each add their own unique perspectives that just isn't kind of cookie cutter Hollywood. I think that we could grow with this, and with the character being having the premise that it is, and the fact that there are many others out there like that, you can do whatever you want with the character. And all that means is that model just, it's done with. You just move on to the next model. But I think it'd be great. What do you guys think? I think this could be one of the best things that could happen. But let me know. Like I said, you can catch me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch under Super Deep Dive, and use the hashtag superherodeepdive. Follow me on those because I post memes every day. If you're following me on YouTube, or if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, share, comment. I'm so anxious for your feedback. You can also email me at b4itall@yahoo.com. And if you're listening on Outward Fleet Radio, hello, happy Tuesday or happy Thursday. Next week I've got a good show planned. It's gonna be a doozy because it is a Halloween themed one. So think of Halloween type characters, your Frankensteins, your vampires, your werewolves, your zombies, all that stuff. Who's it gonna be? Who are we gonna cover? I don't know. Will they get covered at all? Who knows? But next week, I will talk to you guys. In the meantime, everyone be safe, be happy, be blessed, be smart. And if you're not smart, don't get caught. I will see you later. Bye-bye.